High winds in motorcycles can be a challenge. This week on MCrider, we'll look at some tips to help you ride better when those crosswinds start to blow. Tip number one, loosen your grip. So you want loose hands on the hand grips of the motorcycle. You want your wrists and elbows loose. You want your upper body loose and relaxed on the motorcycle. The more you struggle to resist the motorcycle movement, the more tired you're going to get riding on a motorcycle in wind. If you need to hold on to the motorcycle, use your knees on the tank to help tighten yourself up to the motorcycle, but keep everything from your waist up, all of your entire upper body loose and relaxed. It's going to help the motorcycle do its job, and it's going to help you get there with less fatigue. Tip number two, reduce your profile. Reducing your profile on a motorcycle or slightly leaning forward if you're going into the wind is going to help the wind get over you. If you've got a wind coming in from the side, at the same time, it's going to help that wind get over you, and it's not going to have as big an impact pushing you side to side. So reduce your profile on the motorcycle, lean slightly forward, especially when you're going into the wind. Before we get to tip number three, I hope you would consider becoming a member of MCrider and support my efforts on the channel. You'll get access to the forums and the field guide. You can get a printed copy of the field guide sent directly to your home. You'll also get access to the forums with rider coaches and other riders from all over the country that are sharing tips and ideas and just good motorcycle camaraderie on the forums. You can get ad-free videos on mcrider.com and a whole lot more. All the details are found at mcrider.com/member. And right now, if you become a new member, I've got 15% off for new memberships for the first year or month of membership. So look for that code at mcrider.com/member and get 15% off your new membership. Tip number three, use counter steering. So if I'm riding down the road and I've got a wind coming in from my left-hand side, it's going to push me towards the right. I can use a little bit of counter steering to help counteract that. So I push a little bit on that left hand grip. It's going to make the motorcycle lean a little bit to the left. But remember, I've got extra pressure pushing me from this direction. So balancing that out with the right amount of pressure can allow me to lean into the wind and keep the wind from pushing me off in the other direction. Of course, it would be the opposite for the wind coming in from the opposite direction. You'd push on the other hand grip and you'd lean slightly in that direction to counteract the wind's effect on the motorcycle. Tip number four, pick the right lane position. So our tip earlier, I'm using a little bit of hand grip pressure on that left-hand side to counteract wind coming in from the left. If that wind dies down, the motorcycle's going to want to go in that direction. So I push on the right hand grip to straighten it back up. That's why your lane position is important. I typically ride a little bit left of center, so I'm lined up right with the outside line of the car in front of me so I can see up the road. But in windy situations, I'm going to move more towards the middle so that I've got my entire lane to counteract the effects of the wind on me as I'm going down the road. So lane position is important there. And I would typically back up a little bit further because I can't see as far up the road. So I'd maintain a better following distance. But I would generally use the center of the lane to give me more negotiating room within that lane to counteract the effects of the wind. Tip number five, the motorcycle you're on is going to make a huge difference. Smaller, lighter bikes are going to struggle more with the wind. The profile of the motorcycle also matters. So, on a sport bike or a really tall bike, a sport bike doesn't have any place for the wind to pass through it. Or a really tall bike like an adventure bike, they're going to be affected by the wind more so than a lower sitting motorcycle. And that's why touring motorcycles are big and heavy, because they counteract the effects of the wind and they keep the rider more comfortable. Fairings make a difference and a windshield makes a difference when the wind's coming at you. So all of those things that you find on a touring bike, you don't have on a sport bike or especially on lighter adventure bikes, and they're going to be affected more so by the wind than a larger touring bike. So if you're planning on riding long distances, you might want to consider what motorcycle you go on those rides on. So tip number six, both feet at stops. So I've said before, my general practice when I come up to a stoplight or a stop sign, I use the front and rear brake, and then I finish the last 5 feet of the stop or so with my right foot on the rear brake, and my left foot goes down first. My right foot rarely goes down under normal conditions at a stoplight, unless there's a whole lot of wind. In windy conditions, especially when you start slowing down that last 5 or 10 feet, wind's going to have a big impact on you. So I typically use both feet in those situations to provide better balance. And in case that wind kicks up just as I'm coming to a stop, I've got both feet down to help maintain the balance of the motorcycle. And tip number 7, no flappy riding gear. You ever noticed motorcycle gear fits fairly tight on a rider, or it should fit fairly tight on a rider? That's because it needs to not be flapping around or causing a distraction in the wind. So if you're trying to ride with a hoodie, especially a hoodie, and you've got, a big hood back behind you, that's going to be flapping around a whole lot in the wind. It becomes a big distraction and honestly a lot of noise slapping up against your helmet. So you want motorcycle gear that fits tight. You want everything zipped up. You want everything buttoned down so you're not distracted by your gear moving around when you're out on the road. So I hope these tips are helpful for you. I know here in North Texas, the winds are starting to kick up here in the spring. We had a really windy day or week last week. It's calmed down a little bit right now, but hopefully these tips will help you as the wind starts kicking up in the springtime wherever you ride. Till next week, guys, it's Kevin with MCrider, and I'll see you on the road. There's a whole lot more to MCrider than just the weekly videos. Go to mcrider.com/member. You'll get instant access to the forums and the field guide. You get ad-free MCrider videos and a whole lot more. Go to mcrider.com/member for all the details.